A new coronavirus variant has been discovered in the UK and it's spreading. The World Health Organization says it is a subvariant of Omicron called BA.2 and it's the most transmissible variant of the virus to date. By High Health CEO, that's Professor Ramneek Ahluwalia, joins me now to tell us more about this. Prof, always a pleasure talking to you. Good morning and thank you for your time this morning. What do we know so far about the BA.2 variant?
Good morning, Chimelo, and good morning to everyone. What we have seen now is what we call it as an XE variant, which is a recombinant variant. So it's actually not BA.2, it is BA.1 and BA.2. It's combined together, and what we call it as a recombinant variant. It's very common in viral evolution that what you see is that sometimes in a human cell, it happens to be that both viruses enter and then they exchange what we call it the genetic material and has now developed the properties of both BA1 and BA.2. What we knew was that the BA.2 was more transmissible than the BA.1, which is of the same family of Omicron. And we did see that there is a little bit of change in clinical patterns of the BA.2. But now what we are seeing is something called XE, which the United Kingdom has recently reported and the World Health Organization has confirmed. It's a new variant called XE. It's a recombinant variant, very part of the viral evolution. But I think there's no panic yet. Why? Because it's from the same offspring of Omicron. We do believe that South Africans have produced enough in both natural, which is called the acquired immunity, as well as now we have something called a vaccine immunity, which is added above the acquired immunity. So because it's from the same offspring of Omicron, however, what we have to see is three things. One, which we've already known, that's becoming more transmissible, which means it's 10% more transmissible. And viruses are going to continue doing that because they need to survive in our human body. So they need to keep mutating, keep changing their colors. The second thing, what we're going to be now watching very deeply will be the clinical patterns. How does it become more virulent? Is it going to show more new symptoms?
Yeah.
What you've clearly seen is that each variant comes with surprises. And the third is escape mutations,
right.
Whether this will still find it's escaping, which means we'll have breakthrough infections. And however, we do still believe that our third line of defense will eventually take over, preventing us from ICUs or preventing us from deaths eventually.
Prof, is it too soon to actually tell how contagious it is?
So no, in fact, we know that it's 10% already more transmissible, so which means it's 10% more contagious than the BA.2. So that's clearly coming out. What is not yet come out is it's the response of our immune systems. Too early because I think this data from UK will tell us. The good thing is we've got a very strong surveillance and genomic sequencing system, which obviously keeps informing us very quickly around now what we call it as how the clinical patterns will change, whether it's become more virulent. Contagious definitely is already shown. And one thing virus will also show is the evading immune system. So what happens is that our acquired immunity, our vaccine immunity with time eventually weans off, which means the virus takes advantage of finding its mutations to a level that it starts escaping the immune system for a while, which means our immune system does not recognize it while it freely enjoys in our body to bind, multiply numbers. We call it as a viral load. And what we will be now watching is for how long does it evade and whether our second or third line of immunity, even if it defeats the first line, how it quickly jacks up and defeats this virus, even though we will start seeing some what we call this as a response or a breakthrough infections.
Yeah.
Sorry, Chimelo, but last important point that I wanted to bring to your attention is that we've also seen called XD and XF. So what you know is that we had 5 major variants which caused us havoc. The 5th one was the Omicron, but there was also Delta, there was Beta, there was Alpha, and there's the original coronavirus. Those were highly virulent variants. Omicron was less virulent as a variant. I'm talking about the clinical patterns. Now, in that, the Delta is still around. Beta is still, so they are still mutating. And what the WHO has started seeing is that we've also found something called an XD. And XD is a recombinant variant between an Omicron and a Delta. Now, that's going to be very important and interesting is because Delta was highly virulent. So those offsprings have to be watched clearly because the world might expect surprises of clinical patterns that might be more worrisome eventually. But for now, no panic.
Okay.
But some things for the scientific world to watch very, very quickly.
All right.